Welcome to my channel. This is Laura Castellanos, otherwise known as Opal Unicorn, and join me as we discuss the first peoples, otherwise known as the Prediluvian civilizations before the flood. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel for more.
You know, it's led me to Egypt. Okay, you guys, every year now for the last... This is the third year since 2023. For 3 years now, for my birthday, I go up to the Pyramid of Giza, big pyramid there in Cairo, in Egypt. And I spend the money. I have an incredible guide who I trust with my life. He's a wonderful person. And I do what it takes to meditate in the Great Pyramid alone for my birthday, on my birthday. And as an astrologer, there is no better day than making the decision to become the next version of yourself than on your birthday. That is your solar return. That is the day, that the gateway, the portal day that only you encompass in this timeline. And we have twins, astrological twins. We'll get into that. But our astrological natal chart, to digress a little bit, and I'm going to probably edit this. You can fast forward at any time. I don't know. Watch it. View it 1,000 times. Give me a whole bunch of views, you guys. Your solar return date is the day that the portal opens up for you, that you die and come back to life. I've gone to Malta, I've gone to Easter Island, I've gone to Stonehenge, I've gone to Glastonbury, I've gone to Machu Picchu, I've gone to Paracas, Nazca Lines, the Nazca in Peru. I've gone to the Sun and the Moon Pyramid in Mexico, and a few hours out of Mexico City. I've gone to Karnak in Egypt. I've gone to a lot of different places around the world, meditating, creating a grid line, working, downloading information, trying to understand it. You know, I also am double Rh negative. My mom and my dad are both Rh negative, which is a touchy subject these days because becomes topic for racist rhetoric, but it's not about that. The ancient pharaohs were Rh negative. I want you guys to understand that if you go to Egypt and you check out the Museum of Civilization, you go into the Pharaohs exhibit that's on there permanently in display. Pay attention to the size of their heads. We are all not biology majors. We are all not physicians. We are all not professionals of the biology of a Homo sapien. But if you plan to go to Egypt because you're curious about if we were ever alone, or if there were higher intelligences or other species of ETs or other species of humanity that were advanced, that were in Egypt, go look at those pharaohs and you tell me if you think they are human. Because they all have one very very interesting trait. Their heads are not the same size as a regular human's head. So they're big heads. Okay, and it's just, it doesn't take that much. But it does take. It takes just going and exploring, because you're not going to find these things in a book easy. It's not like, okay, I'm interested in finding out what's going on. I want to figure out who made the pyramids. I want to know were the aliens, etc., etc. They won't let you see these mummies. They won't let you take pictures of them. That's for a reason. It causes way too much controversy. You have to understand that we have to be very grateful for Egypt to have intact these mummies, to have intact the history of civilization up until that point, because it goes further. But it goes undocumented. It goes perished through war, through gatekeeping, through the fear of hierarchies and the war on information. That has always been the case throughout time. There has always been a war on information. Because we can't even get archaeologists into the ancient Sumerian land of Iraq. In the name of Jesus, I pray that we can get information from the past, that we can get peace sanctions, that we can get protection from UNESCO's departments, institutions, to protect our legacy as humanities of our ancient ancestors, and that we can start protecting what we find in Iraq, the ancient Sumerian land, the original place that the Atlanteans settled after the Great Flood, the Prediluvian, the original people. I was going to go into my trip in 2026 to Egypt and my pyramid, but this is a separate video. Okay, I'm going to stop this for now. But I'm going to put this up and I'm going to title it, I don't know, it's a rant of some sort about everything, an introduction to my philosophies on the ancient people, the original people. We search high and low for answers, and there's always blocks. One of the big reasons is because that, for example, we have so little information about our history as people, but we have so much still that is hidden in plain sight. Like, for example, Grimm's fairy tales. For example, the medieval mythologies of the dragons and the knights and the unicorns and the fairy people and the goblins and the trolls. And all of these different species of humanity, of Homo sapien, species Homo erectus, right? Different variations of a hominid species on Earth. And we know through our mythology, through our stories, that we have these giants, that we have these little people, that we have these people that are exotically beautiful, like elven, or leprechauns, or fairies, the duendes, or hollow earth that we come from. In the ancient Aztec mythology is Aztlan, a place in hollow earth with 7 ways to get through. We have an ancient Avalon from Glastonbury in England, and many more mythologies throughout the world that have been buried. Yet the legends live on, yet the desire, the memory, the lust for truth lives on. And it becomes harder and harder to find those informations. And if we look through time, ancient Egypt has been a place that preserved as much as possible the legacy of those ancient truths. A place where the Library of Alexandria once originally stood by Alexander the Great, who wasn't even a native Egyptian, but who colonized it and created it into a place of international study that was buried and burnt down during and after the Dark Ages. A terrible time in history. But it continues. See, the thing is, there are always people who try to remember and bring back the logic, the data, the occult information, the secrets that allowed us to build pyramids, the secrets that allowed our brain capacity to get so advanced and so powerful that we could levitate and sprout wings and be the gods that the ancient Egyptians remember. That is my philosophy. That is my theory. Through my travels, through my research, through the many groups that used to exist for Rh negatives that now don't exist. What does it matter if we were all a little bit different anyway? We already know we are. Do we have to become so homogenized and so simplified genetically? We know scientifically that diverse genetics is healthier. We need to understand that it is okay if some of us are hybrids. It is okay if some of us are not all human. It is okay if we find out later that we are not alone. Because we never were. And we have fucking stories upon stories upon stories that tell us this. A time when we lived among each other. The legends exist because in the not too far off past, we still had connection to the many different multi-species that lived on Earth. That we have now buried away. Okay, this is Laura. Thank you so much for watching. I am Opal Unicorn. Please check out my website. Check out my Opal Unicorn cards. Actually, I think we should do a reading on this. Okay? I think my cards are $75 on my website. Maybe they're $65. I highly recommend you purchase a deck because they're my original designs, drawn and hand painted by me. So let's do it. Let's do a reading. We're living in times of change. We are living in times of advancement. One thing I want you guys to know in this video about the pyramids is that they were ascension chambers. And they were also chambers of life and death. More on my next video about that. Thank you so much for watching. This is Opal Unicorn. Hang on till the end because we're going to do a reading. We're going to do a reading about where we are going now in the future. Will we find out more about our ancient ancestors? Will we get answers? Will we get declassified information? Your left hand. You cut the pile toward you. 3 piles. I'm doing a Celtic cross, you guys. You've got Ace of Coin. Death. Challenged by death. Above, rejection. Nine of Wands. Oppression. Tiredness. But succeeding. The truth reversed in the past, meaning the truth has not been given. Or there has been truth given. A fool, a new way forward. A new way forward. This is the unicorn, the fool. Hand drawn by me, you guys, Opal Unicorn. Four of Wands. You guys, Four of Wands is starting to make a plan, okay? The magician in the environment. Because there's magic. Magic is unfolding now. There's a time of the magic, of the laws. King of Cups. This is the patriarchy. This is the masculine, the divine masculine of emotion, of psychic abilities. The divine masculine emotion waking up in our fears and in our hopes, people. Because women, for as much as we've been working on ourselves and working on our spiritual goals, if we do not have our divine masculine counterparts leading and guiding and honoring the way for the woman, Queen of Cups. Holy shit, you guys, you do understand. I got them side by side, and that was what I was channeling. The big deal is that we know the sacred divine female, intuitive, is awake. For as much as maybe these masculine psychics want to say that our feminine divinity is too chaotic, we all know in magic that if you cannot work in chaos, you are not a true magician. Welcome to the present moment of age of Aquarius, my friends. The biggest hopes and fears is that the divine masculine wake up in its true emotional divinity and psychic divinity. But the outcome is that the divine feminine goddess has and will awake and will emerge out of the darkness and into the sunshine as Inanna, the goddess of love and war that I will always remind us of, the ancient Sumerian goddess of Venus. The ancient remembrance of the old ways of the Prediluvian civilizations. Venus was a woman. Venus was two goddesses in one goddess. She was furious, the goddess of war, and she was the goddess of love. That is the outcome of this reading about the secrets of the past, of our archaeological finds that remind us of a time when our brains were so powerful, when our minds were so psychic, that we could manifest our thoughts into reality in the flicker of a moment and the flicker of an eye. And it starts with ancient architecture that creates ascension of our minds. Thank you for watching. This is Opal Unicorn. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Have a good night. Bye.
Please like, subscribe to my channel and my website, opalunicorn.com, for more information on any topics such as tarot, spiritual art, astrology, ufology, and anything that you can think of that's wacky and insane in between. Till the next time, this is your host, Opal Unicorn.